inside the 10. Carr tips it in and it's Ward. He spins into the end zone for the touchdown. Watching greatness on one end in LeBron. There's a dude with 35 in white getting it done defensively and then offense taking over the fight. Mama, there goes that man.
They have shared a brilliant championship battle, but the championship can only be won by one, and it's going Dutch in 2021. Max Verstappen, for the first time ever, is champion of the world.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to this week's edition of the Waterboy Experience. I am your host, the Waterboy himself, Davis McLemore, and golly, do we have a lot to talk about this week. We got some Hornergate scandals to talk about. We got a Formula One race review. We got several free agents around the league and people who are apparently getting canned. And we're also going to talk about a little bit about college football, and we'll see where this episode takes us eventually. But here to help me tackle all of that is my good friend, the CEO and CFO of Night Productions, the Red Bull chugging son of a gun. He's touched many a woman, but it was all consensual. Mr. Jason Shaddix. Jason, how are you?
I thought we were going to have a really slow, boring week because, and spoiler alert to anybody waiting for the grand review, the race was the drizzling shits. And I'm like, there's no way there's going to be anything we can talk about for more than 20 minutes. And lo and behold, the universe has us wrong. Because there's a bunch of news everywhere.
Everywhere we look, there's something new.
A day does not go by that we're not like, oh my God, we got to talk about this tomorrow. We got to talk about this tomorrow.
It's like, it's constantly throughout the day. You're sending me something. Oh man, we got to talk about this.
Dude,
we got to talk about this.
I was watching the 6 hours of Saudi Arabia, or no, the 6 hours of Qatar, whatever it's called. It's like the World Endurance Championship. And I'm like, I'm going to do a review of that. And I'm going to do a review of Formula One, 20 minutes tops.
We're not getting to World Endurance, are we?
I'm just going to say Porsche won the race. Mick Schumacher had a good run. Ended up through no fault of their own. The car didn't make it toward the end.
Oh, okay.
And then the Peugeot, the wingless car, ran out of fuel on the last lap.
Ah.
So they were robbed of a victory, but that's their own fault. That's the review for the World Endurance Championship.
Well,
hopefully next time.
Congratulations to Porsche, I guess.
Better than Toyota, but we will talk about it next time around, next race. We'll give it a proper review, but let's get that out of the way. Let's talk with NFL shit. What do you have?
Well, I don't know if everybody has heard this story so far. First of all, we mentioned Jimmy Garoppolo. He's suspended for 2 games.
Ha!
Right. Performance-enhancing stuff, even though it did not enhance his performance at all.
What should be like something like Viagra or shit like that?
Oh, yeah. The Raiders are expected to cut him as soon as the league year starts. And
This month, right?
I believe so, yeah. So he's going to be on the way out, and because of contractual stuff, they won't have to pay him a dime when he's on his way out. So that's free money we get back.
The Raiders were given a free chance to get rid of Jimmy G, and they took it. Unfortunately, not everybody got that chance. You want to talk about it right now? It's the perfect segue, motherfucker.
Oh, it paints a perfect picture. So we got free money out of it. We don't have to pay him a cent. The Denver Broncos are not nearly as fortunate.
No.
I mean, we've talked before about the Russell Willison project and how much of a schmoz it has been in Denver with Sean Payton and Jerry Jeudy and Russell Wilson. This is a team we thought would work really well together, and they don't. Go figure.
Wasn't it 2 seasons with the Broncos?
Yeah, I think it was 2 years.
11 wins.
Yeah.
Regardless, if it was 3 years, that's still 11 wins.
Oh, yeah. But the Denver Broncos are expected to cut Russell Wilson.
No, they're not expected. They announced we will cut
We
this
will,
one.
yes. We will cut. He will be fired. But unfortunately, they're going to have to eat $85 million in dead cap.
Oh, Jesus fucking Christ almighty.
So now I'm wondering, and I was going to ask you this. I mean, I know you're relatively new to the NFL game. what's more important, the performance of your quarterback? You know, he's the drizzling shits, but at least you're not eating $85 million. Or is it a better idea to keep him, wait until his contract expires, and not have to eat that $85 million in the long run? Because now what you've lost on is a lot of money that you could use to bring in new talent. The other question is, what kind of talent would want to go play for fucking Russell Wilson? What do you think? What's your opinion on this?
First thing is, I think they paid him way too much money up front.
Oh, absolutely.
It was a 5-year deal for $242.6 million. That is a lot of fucking money, man.
And a big chunk of it was guaranteed.
Now, I'm not sure if this is for just this season or the last 2 seasons, but he passed 3,070 yards with 26 touchdowns and 8 interceptions before he was benched.
Yeah.
What does that sound like, a season, or does that sound like 2?
It sounds like...
Well, the way he's playing, it could be both.
Yeah, I mean, for a good, decent quarterback, the interceptions, that could be 2 seasons. The passing yards could typically be 1 season. It just... Ultimately, he has not been great. And he's especially not been great when they needed him to be.
He's never been great in the Broncos.
On the Broncos, absolutely not.
In the last few years of the Seahawks.
Yeah, he was dwindling there.
See, that's something that I don't understand.
Ever since they lost in the playoffs when they should have run the ball, or when they lost in the Super Bowl when they should have run the ball and they didn't, and gave Richard Sherman PTSD, they have not been the same team since, and they've never come back from that.
No, here's something that I don't understand, and this goes to any team in any sport. Why are you hiring somebody that is not at the end of their contract with the team they're at, but instead they get traded away or they get released by their team, and they're supposed to be this huge player, this huge like team principal, this huge coach, but they get fired, and you're like, you know what? The motherfucker they hired, he will be great on my team, instead of going, okay, why did they fire him after he was so promising and after he led them to so much greatness? Even if they failed, why did they let him go?
And it comes back to the Jimmy G conversation. 49ers let him go for a reason.
Exactly. You and I said that.
We kicked Derek Carr out and we hired him, and we learned pretty quick, oh, there's a reason why they let him go.
Same with Aaron Rodgers.
I think most of these teams and the coaches and the owners, they think that they can bring in this player that was on another team and it didn't really work out. Sometimes you'll have a case like Baker Mayfield, where Baker Mayfield, he didn't really work out on most of the other teams he was on, but now he's rolling with the Buccaneers. Sometimes you have that situation. Matthew Stafford, he was great in Detroit, but things really weren't working out, so then he went to the Rams and they won a fucking Super Bowl.
Jared Goff was sent from the Rams.
And the other way around,
Yeah.
Exactly. Things really weren't working out on the Rams for Jared Goff, and now he's he's riding sky high.
We beat him.
Yeah. So the thing is, it's a risk every time you sign a quarterback that has been either cut or benched or traded away by another team.
But the thing is, with the Matthew Stafford and the Jared Goff situation, you could look at both of those players and you could say, okay, they are equally the same in the way they perform. There's not a big difference in like how they were performing with the Rams and how they were performing with the Lions. And the teams could tell, okay, it's not a perfect mix match. With Matthew Stafford, he's been on the team for 10 years. He had to go. But with the Russell Wilson case, you're seeing him just tumble down and tumble down. And they didn't trade quarterbacks of equal caliber. They gave away, I can't remember what picks they gave away, but they gave a lot away for Russell Wilson.
Oh, yeah.
So that begs the question. You're not trading somebody for the same caliber, which it's like, okay, yeah, it's a risk. Maybe they'll work out with the team, but you're not really losing anything because you're trading the same caliber. And you're hoping that he works better on your team. With Russell Wilson, they took a huge leap of faith that doesn't make any sense.
You know, people are already saying this is one of the worst trades we've ever seen in the NFL. The Denver Broncos traded up that much.
Spent that much money,
traded that much away to get Russell Wilson. And I would argue that they are in a worse predicament than they were before they signed Russell Wilson.
Whenever the Broncos were put on prime on Thursday Night Football, and they put them a lot when Amazon got the deal, everybody was rolling their eyes. And then one of the things I asked you is, why are the Broncos there? And you said, because of Russell Wilson. That's one of the NFL's big guys.
Oh, yeah. And they love him. They think he's great. And they will still, to this day, they will talk about how great he is. It doesn't matter. Because they've talked about him for years, how great he is. And they will ignore what he's done the past couple seasons, and they will continue to talk about him highly.
They give him the benefit of the doubt, but can you give him the benefit of the doubt now that the team ate $85 million in cap space? Because they're not getting this cap space, for everybody wondering, who aren't into football. They're not getting this $85 million as money they can spend. No. That money has been locked away. They lost $85 million from the cap.
And I think some other team will be stupid enough to sign him. And we'll go through this again. Oh, Russell Wilson, it's a big deal. He's going to do great and everything. And then we find out by the end of the season, pretty much before halfway through the season, we find out he's done. He's washed.
I'm already calling it. He's either going to the Cardinals or he's going to the Commanders.
Watch him get hurt first game of the season.
Oh, so
Aaron Rodgers, this thing. Yeah. But moving on from Russell Wilson, there is another quarterback that is expected to be on his way out. The quarterback that I believe I said last year or last week, I forgot he even existed. The New York Giants quarterback, Daniel Jones, who was hurt all year last year, and they are expected, it's reported that they're done with him. They're ready to throw him away, and they're ready to move on to somebody new. I don't think that's a bad idea. Daniel Jones, I would put him more akin to a Zach Wilson. He's a guy that every now and then in moments he'll show up and he'll give a big performance. But when it counts, when it comes down to it, he can't get the job done. And then the rest of the games, he's really mediocre. He's just that guy. He's a backup quarterback at best.
I thought we were talking about Daniel Jones. Why are we talking about Justin Fields?
You shut your mouth, man.
I'm right.
The Justin Fields thing is pending, but with Daniel Jones, nobody is shocked to see this coming.
Nobody's shocked to see this coming, and nobody cares except the people who want him gone. They're like, good, he's gone. Now let's look for somebody else, somebody who will get us to that next level, because he's quite forgettable.
What about the passing paisan, Tommy DeVito?
Wasn't he
Come
benched?
on. Yeah, he was benched. But another player on the Giants that is reportedly out, this isn't on the Giants, this is on him wanting to go to another team. They're not going to use their franchise tag on their star running back, Saquon Barkley. And he's going to walk. He's going to be a free agent. Now, that is the best player on that entire team.
Okay, so he doesn't want to be there.
He don't want to be there. Why would you? I mean, nothing's going on there. You're the only guy really working your ass off over there. There was a whole deal last year where they didn't want to pay you shit. And they worked out a one-year deal this year. Still didn't pay you shit. So now you're like, well, shit. I'm just going to be a free agent. You better not franchise tag me, motherfucker. I'm going to be a free agent. I'm going to go somewhere else that'll appreciate him. I think this is good for Saquon.
Or did the one-year deal say that if he does not like the deal that they're offering, or he doesn't like how the team went, he can walk without being franchise tagged?
Potentially.
I mean, if you're smart and you don't want to be in that team, but you're willing to give him one more chance, wouldn't you add that to the contract? Because you could say, look, if you're so confident that this year is going to be our year, just give me this deal. I won't walk away if we are good. That'd be ridiculous. But if you don't deliver on the promise, well, you know what, motherfucker? I'm out.
Yeah.
You can't hold me here.
Can you blame him, though?
No. That team, I don't know what happened last year. It was when
Daniel Jones really went out. The team was sorry before Daniel Jones got hurt.
The start of the 2022 season was really good.
Oh, yeah. And then they fell apart. And
Was that when he got injured?
No.
No, that was...
He got hurt early this year.
Then what the fuck happened?
Week 2 or week 3. We're not sure. But moving on from one running back that did not get paid last year, if you remember, the running back that started that whole story this last offseason about running backs getting paid and not was Josh Jacobs.
Yes.
The Raiders are not going to use their franchise tag on anyone this year. And they have openly said if Josh Jacobs wants to go somewhere else, he's more than welcome to go somewhere else. But we're still going to try to work out a deal with him to stay. But if he finds a better deal somewhere else, he's welcome to walk. I don't think it's a bad idea. I love Josh Jacobs. When he's healthy, and notice I say when he's healthy, he is one of, if not the best running back in the NFL. But he did show signs of not being as productive as he was the year before, where he was the best running back in the NFL for sure. This year he battled injuries. He battled not getting as many touches, and that was mostly on Josh McDumbfuck not wanting to fucking run the ball.
And also the lack of skill from, what's his fucking face? Milk Drinker,
yeah.
I don't remember his name.
And I mean, it's not a bad idea for him to go because he was hurt in that game against the Kansas City Chiefs, Christmas Day. We won, yes. So when he was hurt, Zamir White, you remember him?
Oh, of course.
He stepped up, and he stepped up big time, and he showed a lot of potential. So long term, we think that he might work out as a running back, as our star running back.
Yeah.
We might even try to get somebody else in the draft, maybe a 3rd or 4th round pick, depending on who we can find. But I would love for Josh Jacobs to stay, but ultimately, if he finds a better team, he finds a better team. I feel like there is a better fit out there for Josh Jacobs right now. And he's going to want a lot of money, and he deserves a lot of money. He deserves to be paid $25+ million a year. Big money.
But do you deserve to be paid that money when you're not being productive?
That's the question. That's the big problem.
No, that's not a question. That's not a problem. That's an easy answer. It's like,
because if we paid him that much money, well, next year, would he be 1,500 yards rushing, breaking records, doing all that kind of stuff?
No.
Or would he go back to 600, 700, 800 yards rushing, not that great of a year, a slow year like he had this year? And since he's already shown that he is a little injury prone, I think it is in our best interest that we part ways. It's sad to say, but I think this is the best time for Josh Jacobs to go.
He's been way more than injury prone. This is something you and I have been talking about for a while.
He's been injury plagued.
Yeah, well, he's injury prone then, because injury
plagued and prone. Prone and plagued. New episode of the Waterboy Experience.
It's the same thing. The difference between the meanings is injury plagued is what you say when you really like the guy. Injury prone is what you say when you don't like the guy. But the reality is, if you're getting injured time after time after time, you're not plagued by injuries. You're just injury prone. Being plagued by injuries is if the Raiders, every week a player goes down with an injury and it keeps on getting worse and worse. That's injury plagued.
Yeah.
Not injury.
Max Crosby was injury plagued, and he still fought through it, and he made it. But,
Well, with Max's position, though, like, it's kind of a given you're going to get hurt.
Oh, yeah.
So
same thing with running backs. You're always going to get hurt as running backs. I mean, nowadays, it is very rare for a running back to play all 18 games in the season.
That's true.
17. Soon to be 18.
Let's move.
We might as well move on to that while we mentioned it.
Look, it's a great transition, mate. So we might as well take it.
I'm on a roll today, man. So yeah, it is being rumored that the NFL is trying to get permission from the NFLPA, which is the Players Association,
the union,
the union, basically, to extend the league year to 18 games per team.
Meaning it's going to be a 19-week NFL season.
Yes.
No. As somebody who...
If you are going to do this, which is a stupid fucking idea, the only way, if I'm a member of the board of the NFLPA, the only way I agree to this, give us 2 bye weeks. Each team gets 2 bye weeks. That's the only way you can make this work. Because if you have a team that has their bye week in week 3, week 4, early in the season, then they got to play 15 straight weeks after that. It's hell. That's absolute hell. That's not including, playing Sunday night, then having to turn around 4 or 5 days later and play a Thursday night football game, which I've made my feelings
worse, playing a Monday night game and then playing on Thursday.
Well, that does happen. But, it's just, they're asking too much. And then the NFL is like, where are all these injuries coming from? It's because your guys are getting fucking gassed. They can't do this.
An 18 regular week season is definitely pushing it. How long has it been since they changed, they added the 18 weeks?
Not last year, but the year before, they changed it to 17 weeks, 17 games. It was 16
Well,
originally.
you know what I mean. It's 18. It's an 18-week season, but every team gets a bye week, so it's 17 games.
Right, 17 games, 18.
When did we start seeing these mass injuries?
The year they made the change. So what do you think is going to happen with 18 weeks?
Oh, more people are going to get hurt more than ever. As much as they like to say that they don't rush recovery times and all this, look, if you can get back within a month, they're going to push for, okay, instead of getting back in 4 weeks, get back here in 3 weeks. They're going to rush the injuries, which makes you injury prone because you didn't heal it completely. Now, they're obviously not going to do that with somebody who ripped their ACL, MCL, or any of that stuff, but the stuff that you can recover by in a month, they're going to try to rush that recovery.
Yeah, you're coming back next week. Done. You got a sprained ankle, you're coming back next week.
Or you're coming back 2 weeks from now.
Oh, yeah.
But you're not taking 4 weeks.
Oh, yeah.
So that's the thing. You're kind of forcing these teams to do this. And here's another thing to your whole idea of a 2 week bye week. Well, of 2 bye weeks. If I'm the NFL, I would say, then what the hell is the point of going from 17 games to 18 games? Because you're going to take 2 bye weeks. That means we're only playing 17 games in total.
Exactly.
Which makes no sense.
What is the point? And what is the point, Roger Goodell?
And here's the other thing.
You stretched the buck with 17 games. 18 games is really pushing it. I think it was perfect when it was 16.
Yes, I was going to say that. When it was 16, hell, I'll say 15 just because it's a nice number. 15 games. That is perfect amount of football games because how much football can a person see? I know some people are the diehards and will watch every single game they can. But let's be realistic. There are a small percentage of the crowd, a majority of people, they don't do that. They get bored.
I believe the college, I don't know if they changed anything recently, but I believe the college season is only 14 games. And it works out well for them.
And the way a lot of teams are going, like Chicago, the Bears suck. They're the drizzling shits. Their college team probably gets more views when the Bears are sucking because they're like, well, at least our teams aren't as bad as the Bears. So you're competing with the college football, and some people prefer college to regular NFL football.
Especially the further down south you get.
Yes.
We're very patriotic about our college football.
So what's my motivation to watch the Saints if I can watch Alabama, or I can watch Georgia, or LSU, or I can watch a multitude of teams that are better than New Orleans Saints?
Exactly.
Especially with more games, you're like, I don't need to watch that game. I can watch it. Look, I got more games to watch. I prefer watching college because it's only 14 weeks. I got 4 weeks to watch regular NFL football. That's what's going to happen. A lot of people are going to choose to watch college because they're going to be, oh, there's enough football games for me to watch afterwards before I get absolutely bored or I just get burned out on football.
Yeah. I'm more concerned about the players' safety and everything about this whole thing because it's going to be a mess expecting all your players to play fucking 18 games a season. And a lot of these guys are not used to that at all.
And some people will say, well, what's an extra week? A lot.
A lot. That's a week worth of practice that you have to put in. That's a whole nother game.
That's
less recovery time.
Are they going to start earlier then?
Yeah, that's the other question. Would they start earlier or would they stop later?
I don't think they're going to stop later because they got it figured out. The only way to stop
Super Bowl wouldn't be at the same time of the year.
Yeah, no, and they're dead set on having it at the same time of the year.
Or would they cut the break in between the playoffs and the regular season? Which, if that's the case, that's really not okay.
I don't know, but right now the NFL is going through the same situation Formula One is. This year we're going to have 24 races.
Which is a lot.
I think 20 should have been the cutoff point. I think at 20 races that would have been max.
Yeah.
But now we got 24 races. We just did the Bahrain Grand Prix. Max Verstappen won by the biggest margin ever, 22 seconds, to his teammate, Sergio Perez.
It's another year of Red Bull dominance.
And a lot of people are saying, you know what, I'm not watching this year because there is no competition.
And the season drags on for so long.
Exactly. By Monza, I'm like, oh, fuck, let's go home. Because what I'm used to is, all right, Monza happened, so that's like the 3. So it's Zandvoort, it's another race, and then Monza.
Yeah.
I cannot remember for the life of me. And then it used to go Singapore, Japan, Mexico. Well, no, Japan, United States, which is Austin, Texas, Mexico, Brazil, finish it off at Abu Dhabi.
That made sense. You're not jumping around back and forth all over the place.
But this year, it's ridiculous. They're going back and forth, and they're like, oh, we're trying to be carbon neutral and shit like that. And
no,
the
fuck
environment.
you're not.
No, it's all about money. And the drivers are going to feel it because they're going to have to be on the road all that time. Sometimes they don't go home because the Japanese Grand Prix is next week. And it's like, fuck, I can't go home. I got to fly all the way to Japan and get accustomed to the time zones because that's something we forget. They got to get adjusted to the time zone.
Oh, yeah.
So it's the middle of the day for them. It's the middle of the night for us.
It's like we're in Las Vegas, but next week we got to go to Singapore, and then we got to go back to Australia, and then we got to,
It's ridiculous.
Oh, yeah.
And then they go from, they're going to finish this leg of the tour. So they're going to go, Japan is the last one. And then they're going to go to, I believe, Spain. And from Spain, they're going to go to Monaco. And then Monaco, I believe they're going to Canada, back to Europe.
They're running worse than Crockett was right before they became WCW.
Yep. And we're having burnouts.
Oh, yeah.
There's a couple races I'm not watching this year. I'm not watching the Vegas Grand Prix. I'm not watching Singapore. No, I'm watching Singapore, but I'm not watching Japan. I'm not watching Australia.
Definitely not Australia.
Because it's 12 a.m. for me when that race is on.
Yeah.
There's a few races I can skip just because it is too much for the fans. And so many diehard fans are saying, you know what? I don't think I'm watching it. Because again, what's the competition? What's my reasoning for watching? Same thing could be said about the NFL season because
oh yeah,
after week 4, you know who's going to be the top teams.
You know who's going to win. The only reason you really watch is for holding out, or if you're really passionate about your team. I don't watch every Raider game anymore. I used to when I had the time and the energy. I used to watch every single Raider game
when you were more hopeful.
Right. I'm hopeful this year, but I'm not going to watch Raiders versus the Cardinals. I don't care.
You're not going to watch games where you're sure you guys are going to win.
We're either going to beat the piss out of them or we're going to get embarrassed, and I don't want to watch that.
Yeah.
But I'll watch Raiders versus Chiefs. I'll watch Raiders versus Bills. I'll watch the, Raiders versus Lions. I'll watch the big game.
The games that actually sound interesting.
And that means something to the long run of the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
I watch those, but I don't watch,
every game.
It's like college football. I'll watch Alabama versus Texas. I won't watch Alabama versus fucking Mercer University.
Or Florida State University.
Yeah. So, we're on the topic of college football. I might as well go ahead and say, Nick Saban did an interview, and they asked him a question kind of along the lines of, what were the reasons why you retired?
Mm-hmm.
If you don't mind, I'd like to share those with you because I think we can have a very interesting conversation about this.
I already got my opinions on it, but go ahead.
So here's a direct quote from Nick Saban via Chris Lowe. This was posted on the Bleacher Report Instagram. He says, quote, and this is on the majority of the conversations he's had with players after they lost the Rose Bowl. He says, quote, all they want to know is 2 things. What assurances do I have that I'm going to play, and how much are you going to pay me? So I'm saying to myself, maybe this doesn't work anymore, that the goals and aspirations are just different, and that it's all about how much money can I make as a college football player. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying that it's never been what we were all about. And it's not why we've had success throughout the years. What do you take away from that?
I think he's right because earlier in the college season last year, 2023, they started to make a lot of jokes about, oh, here's this college football player. He's like, this team is calling me to go to their college. And instead of saying, look, I don't care, he goes, I don't care about, blah, 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 the whole sell point. I want to know how much money you can offer me. And they're like, that much? Pfft, hang up. And it's a joke. That's a guy who does a parody thing. But it is very true to what he says, because all these colleges will go to these kids and they'll be like, hey, do you want to play with us? We think you'll be a great fit for our team. And the first thing they'll ask is how much money. And I think it's kind of ruined football, because I'm not against the players getting paid, because they do deserve to get paid. They work their ass off to get where they are, and they need some compensation. What I am against is giving a 22-year-old, 23, 19, 18, whatever year old kid more money than an NFL rookie makes.
More money than Brock Purdy makes.
Exactly. Now, some people might say, well, they deserve that money. They deserve to get paid, but let's be realistic. If you're in college, you got a full paid scholarship, I say the maximum should be $100,000 a year. Now, tell me, who will deny $100,000?
Nobody.
If they say, hey, you got to go to college and you got to do these practices and play a couple games, we'll give you $100,000. I would be like, fuck yeah, that's more money than I need.
And one thing that I saw in the comments was, oh, well, Nick Saban hates it when young kids like to give back to their parents who raised him. And I was like, all right, I don't know how some kids are. Some kids might actually give some of that money back to their parents who raised them. Good for them. I think that's, what they should do. But 95% of those kids aren't giving that money back to their fucking parents.
99% of them.
99%.
Look,
no, they're going to go fucking blow it on whatever they want, because they're college kids. They're just straight out of high school. And you want to give them millions. We know that's the problem. We're not talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars. No, we're talking about millions of dollars. And you think that they're not going to go fucking blow it on whatever the fuck they want. So now they get all big head and everything, oh, well, I'm going to the pros because I got a $10 million NIL deal, or I don't want to go to the pros because I make more money playing college football.
Yeah.
So, and that was one of the big things with, of course, my new most hated guy in the NFL, and he's not even in the NFL anymore, Caleb Williams. This is I told you this earlier, this is the biggest example of the money has gotten to his head and it's made him an ignorant prick.
Yes.
Because did you see what happened at the combine?
He didn't throw. He didn't do anything.
No.
And he said, if you want to see me throw, you want to see that, go look at the film. And some people were defending him, but the way I look at it is, look, everybody does this for a reason. You want to get, it's almost like a controlled environment. You want to see what the full potential is.
What can they do in certain situations? How can they handle, this situation, or throw into this, or, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and some people are saying, but it's unnecessary, the combine, because, that's not a real simulation of what it's like in a football game. And to that I say, yes, you're right, but it gives you a simulation of, okay, I am right in front of the NFL scouts. I'm in front of some of the people who could give me the biggest break of my life. I have to play. I have to practice. I have to do what I have to do and be the best at it. I have to show them why you should pick me, why you should give me the starting position, why this and why that. Because this is what my full potential is in a controlled environment. And this is what I promise to be able to bring to the team. Because when you see them play, like actually play with the teams they've got, you will realize, for example, was it Caleb Williams or who was it that Brandon Rice was on the team with?
Brandon Rice was on the same team as Caleb Williams. Yeah, USC.
Caleb Williams can throw, but his throws are not accurate. The only reason he got a lot of those touchdowns based on the games we've watched, it's because of Brandon Rice. That kid is really good. But you and I were pointing out to the fact that Caleb Williams' accuracy is really off. Like, you look at the quarterback for Alabama and Georgia. Was it Georgia, the one we were watching specifically?
I believe so.
He was accurate. He could throw hard. His spiral was good. Everything that Caleb Jones...
I forgot his name. I really wish I didn't. But I know who you talk.
Well, he's not eligible for the draft anyway.
Yeah, but he's a stud.
He is better than Caleb Williams. Everything Caleb Williams acts like he's good at, this kid's better. This kid is perfect. And I can see why he's at Georgia, or I think it was Georgia.
Yeah, Georgia.
Because you and I were in love with him because we were watching a bunch of the prospects from college and we were nitpicking. We're like, okay, like this kid, he's good, but he holds on to the ball too long. This kid, his accuracy is not good. This one doesn't have enough strength behind it. And then you saw that kid and you saw him throw that ball every single fucking time. It was perfect.
Oh, yeah.
Meanwhile, Caleb Williams was being dragged up by Brandon Rice, who is a tremendous player and is somebody who we should look out for. But you see him play, and I'm like, I'm not impressed. Like, as much showboating as you're doing, I'm not impressed. You're not wowing me.
He's all about the name right now. And that's the thing, and he's going to ride that for as long as he can in the league until people find out he's not as good as we thought he was.
I think he's going to be a bust.
I think he is too.
I think I told you this earlier. He's our modern day Antonio Brown.
But you know what? They can't get rid of him because whatever team drafts him, he gets part ownership of.
No, he doesn't.
Not part ownership, but he gets a stake.
No, he doesn't.
He does.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah, that's what he said. That's what he wants.
That's what he wants. That's not what he's
If
going
the
to get.
team gives him that, well, then we might have another Eli Manning situation where he refuses to play for that team. And then he's just going to be a drama queen. And then it's going to be a whole thing. And then
Yeah, but tell me this. If let's the Bears grab him because they got the number 1 and number 2 overall pick. He wants to be a drama queen and not play with them. They can go, okay. And then he's going to do the same to the next team and the next team and the next team. And finally, all the teams are going to say, you know what? This kid ain't fucking worth it.
he just doesn't want to play football. I think that's what it boils down to is, and that's why he didn't participate in the combine. I think secretly he didn't want to embarrass himself.
I agree.
I feel like he didn't want to get out there and, you know, maybe he runs a slow 40-yard dash, or maybe he doesn't complete his passing drill, you know, better than everybody else. And people start figuring out, well,
Or simply,
and then his draft stock drops and he doesn't get drafted as high as he wanted to.
or simply, he just doesn't like criticism and he doesn't want to be criticized. Brendan Rice's dad, Jerry Rice, yes, that Jerry Rice,
Mississippi's own.
yes, he was criticizing his kid. He's like, he went too low. He should have moved
Which,
that.
if anybody can do that, it's the greatest wide receiver of all time, Jerry Rice.
Yes, but he's hard on his kid and he's giving him criticism. And I bet you on the ride home, he was telling him, son, you did this wrong, you did that wrong.
But Dad, I was the best receiver in the draft. It doesn't matter.
You have to be better.
Oh, yeah.
But
And I think that that's good for him.
I think he's keeping him in check. And that's the thing that all these players are missing. Because going back to what you were saying earlier, how that person commented, well, they're stopping these kids from giving money back to their parents and stuff like that. We know for a fact that's absolute bullshit, and not all of them are going to do it.
And there's already been talks about it and everything. There's already stories out there. They'll go and they'll blow their money on drugs, get in trouble. Then what do? Then they're fucked.
And then they get let go.
Yeah. I think this whole NIL thing.
Look, for every story, heartwarming story where we see this kid, yeah, I bought my mom a car, I bought my mom a house, she don't got to pay the bills no more, I'm taking care of her. For every story we hear of that, there's 100 more that would just blow their money. How do we know that? Because I'm 23. When I was 18 and I got money, I fucking blew that money on myself.
Oh, yeah. Every single time. When I first got my paychecks from the grocery store I was working at, every single paycheck went to all kinds of different shit.
Dude, you were rich the day you got paid. You were broke the next morning.
Exactly. And so how do you think these high school kids or these college kids feel?
Yeah, let's stop
I'm
trying.
not against the idea of them getting a cut.
No,
or
I'm not
getting
either.
money.
But getting that much money at that young age is wrong. Because you're stupid at that age. You don't have the maturity to make rational decisions. I mean, how many of us have drank underage and have done stupid things to either get laid, get beard, or have fun when we're 16, when we're 18, when we're 20, when we're 21? How many of us haven't done that? I've done them.
Oh, yeah.
I've done a lot of
And
stupid
if you're
shit.
in college and you're a big name star and everything, you get your scholarship pulled and you're not going to school there anymore.
Yeah.
And
What-
if you thought you were going to the NFL, guess what, motherfucker? You ain't going to the NFL.
How many cases have we heard of college kids who are the big dog in college? They're the huge athlete, and then they're just doing shit that they shouldn't be doing. They're out partying. They're out having drugs.
Johnny Manziel,
Yeah.
he was doing that shit while he was in the fucking league.
Yes.
And that's why he went the way that he went. Which, by the way, did you hear that he's thinking about coming to the UFL?
I don't think anybody's going to hire him.
somebody might hire him. I think whatever. It's nice, cool. Go play for the UFL. Go ahead, do your thing.
Just don't have that attitude.
Just don't have that. Yeah. And from what I've heard, apparently he's matured a lot. That remains to be seen. But his end goal eventually is to end up back in the NFL, if at all possible.
No, that's impossible now.
He might have burned that bridge just a little too much.
Colin Kaepernick burned that bridge, and he wasn't Johnny Manziel kind of stuff. But
Johnny Manziel was a better quarterback than Colin Kaepernick.
But what I'm saying is, they've been away from the NFL so long that at this point, nobody cares, and nobody's going to hire a guy who hasn't been playing football every year consistently. Because those kids who are playing college, they've been playing college all year.
Oh, yeah.
So they've been playing football. You're out of football. You're rusty. You're done. You really can't get back into that shape.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's not the same. But, well, I believe that was our college football discussion of the week. Do you want to move on to motorsports?
Yes, and thank you for that really, really great transition.
I didn't really have a transition for this one. I was on a roll, but now I'm...
Let this be known to people that this is not an abrupt cut, that this is him simply not knowing how to transition, so he comes to an abrupt stop, and then it sounds like I fucked up on my editing.
No. It doesn't. It's usually me being like, well, I've said all I want to say about that. Now you talk about your thing.
Exactly.
So.
But we were going to talk about motorsport. We already talked about the World Endurance Championship. I hope Mick does better the next time because I'm still rooting for the kid. We both are.
Oh, yeah.
But let's get on to Formula One, which we basically gave the review. It was the drizzling shit. Max Verstappen won with a 22-second lead. You got Checo Perez in P2. You got Carlos Sainz in P3, which was impressive as hell. But I want to talk about a little bit Charles Leclerc and Ferrari. Oh boy. Did you watch the race or did you see the review?
I didn't bother because I knew it was going to happen.
Well,
I just didn't know it would be this bad.
Well, Ferrari fucked Ferrari again.
Ladies and gentlemen, Ferraris and fuck ups has officially returned to the show. What did they do this week?
Somehow, there was a huge difference in the tire temperatures of the front tire. It threw Charles off so bad that he was locking up every single time into turn 1, turn 10, turn 8, turn 13. It was god awful.
That's something that's going to bother them for the rest of the season, isn't it?
I don't know because it didn't happen to Carlos. Instead, Carlos was on fucking fire.
Oh, yeah, he did great.
He dive bomb Charles Leclerc.
Maybe Carlos is driving the car that they're already preparing for Lewis.
No. This is what's happening. Carlos is like, okay, you want to fucking replace me? All right, that's fine. I'm going to show you what you're going to miss.
Which, you know what? Hell yeah. Do it, Carlos.
Hey, get your stock up high because somebody wants you on their team.
Yeah.
So Carlos did fucking phenomenal. Charles was just, it's not his fault. It's the car's fault. Something happened.
It's never Charles.
Very rarely.
Very rarely is it actually Charles Leclerc's fault. It's just.
But the biggest nightmare was when he was on the radio and he was telling his engineer something and like basically asking what's going on. And then engineer comes back and says, "We are checking." And I just got PTSD. I'm like, oh God. One season
Not
without
this
that.
shit again. Maybe
there's hope that it'll be different in Saudi Arabia.
Well, and I saw earlier there was, and you tell me, was this an actual audio clip from the thing where Lewis said, "My seat is broken"?
Yes, his seat broke.
And somebody edited it, but it was the team replying, "Go sit in the Ferrari then."
Yeah, that was an edit, but his seat did break, and so he was dealing with that issue. They were also dealing with a battery issue for Lewis, so Lewis wasn't getting the maximum out of the car battery. And then George Russell was dealing with heating issues. His engine was overheating. And so he actually was doing really great at the beginning of the race, but his pace completely died because he was not able to get the most out of the engine because it was overheating. So there was a lot of issues, but surprisingly, no one DNF'd. And did you know this is the first race in Formula One history, the first opener race where somebody did not DNF?
Really?
Yes.
That's interesting.
Yes.
As bad as some of those cars were out there, you thought somebody would have the balls to just retire that fucker. Alpine should have retired.
Oh, God, yes. But they didn't finish 20th. You know who finished 20th?
Kevin Magnussen.
Nope. Mr. America himself, Logan Sargent, spun the... Well, to be fair, he was tapped from behind at the beginning of the race. Like, literally in the first lap, he was hit from behind. It was a racing accident. I think Valtteri Bottas hit him by mistake because he was kind of squished in, and then he got a puncture. And
Not in the steak kick Sauber.
And then by lap 2, I think Logan was like 40 seconds off the last person.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, it didn't get any better. He was lapped twice. Oh, you think that is bad? Half the grid got lapped by Max Verstappen.
Yeah.
Half the fucking grid.
Did Verstappen lap Sargent twice?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Poor Logan.
That's embarrassing. You can't come back from that. I'm sorry. Just sit this next one out.
They should have retired the car. I would have retired the car. Because there's no way you're coming back from that huge deficit.
Just save your resources. Save your tires. Just
It wasn't even his fault. That's the thing.
come on into the pit. You're not.
Yeah, but like I said, it's not his fault.
Yeah, no.
He was tapped. Also, Valtteri had a 50-second pit stop.
Ooh.
And he still came out ahead of Logan Sargent.
That's crazy.
It was. But somebody I want to talk about, you mentioned him, Kevin Magnussen. They actually ended up really good.
Where did he end up?
I think he ended up P11.
Okay, not bad.
Hulkenberg, I believe, was 9th.
So the Haas isn't struggling.
Actually, the Haas looks like it was the car that was least struggling compared to the Williams, the Alpine, the Steak Sauber, whatever the fuck, and the V-Carb. Like,
Now you're calling them the V-Carb too.
yeah, I'm calling them
Yeah.
V-Carb. But it's like Alpine and Haas switched positions because Alpine was dead last. Without Logan, they would have been dead last.
Oh, yeah, no.
And I actually got some shit to talk about Alpine. So one of the reasons why they were dead last, and this is something that we were talking about during testing, is that they're over the weight limit because they had to restart their entire car design. Almost like Red Bull, almost like Mercedes, they started from scratch again. They had a brand new concept. And if you remember during the preseason, there was an issue where Alpine failed a durability test, a crash test, basically. And apparently that's the monocoque. The monocoque failed a crash safety test, and they had to reinforce it. And apparently it put them over 10 kilograms over the weight limit. So there's a rule of thumb. For every 10 kilograms of weight over the weight limit that you are, you lose about 0.3 of a second. 0.3 of a second. A lap. That's what you lose.
A lap?
Yes. We're not talking about a thousandth of a lap. No. We're talking about almost a quarter of a second you're losing per lap compared to somebody who's at the weight limit. So the car is grossly overweight. And then there's another issue. The technical director and the head of the aerodynamics department, Matt Harmon, I believe that's his name. Matt Harmon.
We'll go with Matt Harmon.
Well,
Yeah.
and the head of the aero, which you love his name, Derek the Beer. Make your jokes.
What did they do with De Beer?
They drank it all,
Oh, no.
but they actually quit.
Oh, no, not De Beer. Why did De Beer have to leave?
And most of the team didn't learn about this until the day of the race. The team didn't even tell them officially until Monday. And you know when they resigned? Over a month ago.
So they've been gone?
No. They're just going like, okay, we're going to give our 2 weeks notice. It's a month-long notice,
Okay.
but we're going to give our notice. And nobody at Alpine or Renault told the team. Like, nobody knew that they were gone until the day of the race. And that was the...
Not the drivers, not the team, not the...
Nobody.
Wow.
Yeah, no one was told. And so everybody who was at the track, all the employees at the track were told on the day of the race. And then everybody at the factory was told on Monday. So now there's a couple of questions that people are placing, because I heard these rumors during the weekend. I heard this during free practice that the technical director and the head of the aero were running away because they fucked up the car.
Yeah.
But if you remember last year or the year before, this guy named Otmar, he used to be the team principal for Alpine. He got fired. And the rumor was he got fired because Alpine Renault, the company Renault, wanted the team to be winning championships or at the very least be a contender for the podium in a short amount of time. Meanwhile, he's like, no, we need more time. We need more resources. And they said, if you can't do it, we're going to fire you. And they did. And now these two guys, I'm sure they're going like, this car is the fucking drizzling shits. And we're getting the fuck out of here.
Before we get heat on us.
Well, they got heat on themselves because people are saying, did they leave because they know they made a bad car? Or did they leave because their advice wasn't followed? Because they were overruled by somebody on top of them saying, hey, we're not going to do what you guys want to do. We're going to change completely the concept of the car. And maybe they wanted to keep the old concept.
So now that De Beer is no longer there, is there like what's the process for fixing the car, upgrading the car? Because this is the car that they constructed. So now are they just supposed to be like, well, we don't know what's going on with it because...
Well, they know what's going on in certain terms. First off, it's overweight. It's 11 point something kilograms over the weight limit. So they need to find ways to save weight. Second off, there is a downforce deficiency. And what they have to do is they have to get an aero guy to figure out why there's such a huge loss of downforce. What can we do to gain the downforce that we lost? Problem is they're still trying to understand this car. It's a brand new concept. So they're starting from scratch. They don't know where to look. So that's what's going to hold them back. And also they're also saying that because it demands so much from the engine in that track, the Renault engine is one of the weakest engines on the grid, the weakest engine actually. So they're saying, well, we think that in Saudi Arabia, it'll be a better look at how our performance is. And we're not going to be losing that much time compared to Bahrain.
I call bullshit.
I call bullshit too.
I think it's going to be back at the back again. I think that, this is not something you can fix now. It's too late. You're in the season. I mean, you can tweak some things and, maybe add a different part or whatever, but I mean, you're never going to be contenders. I don't even think they'll make it to the middle of the pack this year.
They won't. I think them and Haas switch positions.
Yeah.
Because Haas, Nico Hülkenberg got that car into Q3. Q3 on a Haas. And yet the Alpines were dead fucking last. So I think that car is useless. I think that the way people are jumping ship, because that's something we should consider. People are jumping ship. Last year, this guy named Pat Fry, he jumped ship from Alpine to McLaren. And one of the things he was saying was how the people at the team, whether it's the team itself or the higher-ups of Renault, and it sounds more like the Renault higher-ups, they were content with being P4, being best of the rest. They didn't want to put more resources into getting better facilities to upgrade the car to make everything better.
Well, then get out of Formula One.
And Fernando Alonso said the same thing when he was leaving Alpine. They don't really have a drive to do better. And like you said, get out of Formula One. I think that's what they're going to do. Because Renault is very in and out.
So do you think Cadillac will come in to replace them, if that's the case?
Maybe.
Okay, and here's another question. Is somebody going to buy the team?
Maybe. Who's going to buy it? Andretti?
Maybe.
Other than that, who else?
Ford? I don't know.
Well, Ford's with Red Bull.
That's right, yeah.
And there's...
Chevy?
Well, Chevy's Cadillac.
Oh, that's right.
I think maybe Toyota, they were looking for a team. And there was rumors that they might want to partner up with McLaren for 2026. There's no definite answer to that, but maybe they'll be looking at Alpine and going, you know what? That they got the facilities.
Might as well.
They got the people. We just got to buy the team. Might as well.
Yeah, because this is a team that I think they've fucked themselves too hard. Now they got to find an out.
Exactly. But let's move on from Alpine to the actual main event of this talk.
Hornegate?
Hornegate,
yeah. I like Hornegate.
So I actually prepared something to kind of summarize what is going on, if you don't mind me reading this.
Oh, absolutely. Go right ahead.
War. Red Bull Racing is crumbling.
Keep going.
Red Bull Racing is crumbling under attacks by a ruthless Sith Lord There are innocents on both sides. Evil is everywhere. In a stunning move, a Sidious fiend has released a Google Drive with all the evidence from the investigation to the press. As reporters attempt to post their new valuable information, a group of lawyers led a desperate mission to stop them and release Horner from reputational execution.
Dun, 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 dun.
Dun dun!
Drive to Survive has to open like that.
You'd have to.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what came over me earlier today, but I'm like, the episode 3 crawl, like the crawl opening is perfect for what's going on.
But I mean, it is accurate. You know, the Empire is falling. There's a weakness in the Death Star.
Well, this is episode 3.
Oh, well, the Death Star is being built. I don't know.
Well, it's going to be the death of somebody. So let's talk about this. On Wednesday, the day before free practice began, Red Bull announced, the parent company, that Christian Horner has been absolved of all allegations and everything is back to normal. Less than 24 hours, somebody within the team released a Google Drive with around 90 pages worth of WhatsApp messages, photos, and other document shit to every member of the F1 press, all the team principals, the president of Formula One, and the president of the FIA, and the board of Liberty Media, the owners of F1.
This was about 48 hours after me and you had recorded, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah.
At which point I said, God damn it, every fucking time.
So, why do we not know what was on this file?
Okay, so...
If everyone has access to it, why can't we see it?
Well, we're not the press.
Right, but like, you know, why...
Well, I don't know if the file is out there on the internet. It probably is, but I didn't have enough time to do a really good search because it's not, you're not going to Google Christian Horner file and find a
what
link.
What girl did Christian Horner touch today? I don't know. Oh, Vince McMahon, but continue.
But there's a lot of things going on and there's a lot of people who are pissed. And some of these people are kind of painting an arrow on themselves because to me and to anybody with half a brain, you know what this looks like?
A setup.
Yes, a power grab. Somebody wasn't happy with the fact that Christian Horner was found innocent, and somebody wanted him gone. And now the person a lot of people are speculating is Jos Verstappen, Max Verstappen's father. And the reason why he's being questioned, like, are you behind this? Is because he went and talked to the Daily Mirror and the Telegraph. And this is what he said. The team is in danger of being torn apart. It can't go on the way it is. It will explode. He is playing the victim when he is the one causing the problems. Now, Daily Mirror is just a gossip column. It is just the bottom of the barrel.
The tabloids.
That's what it is. And from what I hear, the Telegraph is the same thing. And for people who say, no, it's not. Well, the Daily Mirror is over 100 years old, just like the Telegraph. Doesn't mean that you're reputable.
Yeah.
So he goes and tells him that. Oh, he gets heat because everybody's like, what the fuck are you doing getting involved in any of this? You're not even part of the team. Your son is racing for the team. Well, then there's video footage of him and Christian Horner at the race paddock going at it in an argument. We can't hear what they're saying, but by the body language,
it's out there.
Somebody's pissed.
Yeah.
All right. And then later on, Jos Verstappen says, when they ask him, are you involved in the leakage? He goes, but why would I do that? Max has a contract with Red Bull until 2028. Is performing great and feels at home here. I have no interest in that at all.
So what happened to the team imploding on itself? Absolute.
Why is there rumors going around that Jos Verstappen is telling people close to him and Max that if Christian Horner stays on the team, well, guess what? Max is leaving Red Bull Racing.
And by the way, we don't believe that this is actually what Max Verstappen wants.
No, we don't know what Max wants. When they asked Max about this whole allegation, Max said to the effect of, well, I know my father, and I think that the situation at Red Bull is not what he says. I really hope it's not. But I don't think my father is lying. But that's just like an excerpt of the quote, because the real quote was something along the lines of, like, I know my father, but I don't know if he's lying or not, but I don't think he is. Basically, he's saying his father is just like a guy who wouldn't lie, but at the same time, he doesn't know who to believe.
He's a very angry man.
Yes. So, I mean, it kind of sounds like Max is defending his dad, but at the same time, the way I read it, it was more like Max is saying, well, maybe he's saying this and that and all that, but I don't think he's a man who would lie.
Yeah.
Not saying that he's lying about this, but he's just saying, I don't think he is, but I don't really know what's going on. I hope nothing bad is going on and that the team will explode.
But this is also putting Max in a very hard position.
That's what a lot of people are saying.
Because, I mean, you know.
And then during the race weekend, guess who was caught having dinner with Toto Wolff and having great lengthy conversation?
Fernando Alonso?
No. Max's dad.
Joss.
Now, some people will say, well, that might be a coincidence. It's like when Carlos Sainz's dad was talking to Christian Horner and people were saying, oh, maybe he's trying to get his son a seat at Red Bull. Maybe so, but at the same time, Red Bull is where Carlos Sainz got his start. Red Bull has been funding the team that Carlos Sainz Sr. has been at, which is where they did the Dakar rally racing and shit like that. He won the race. It's being sponsored by Red Bull. So he has connection to the team regardless. Josh Verstappen, though, you know, what is he doing?
Nothing. He's Max's personal groupie.
He really is. Last year, when there was an issue with Checo, and it wasn't really an issue, it's just one of those things that happen. Apparently, Josh Verstappen got really angry, and Max had to call him down and shit.
I remember that.
And a lot of people are saying, like, what the fuck? Why can't you just be like Checo's dad, who's happy when Max wins, hopes his son does better the next race, but he still shows that he's very happy with Max.
Just a happy little Mexican man standing there cheering on.
Yeah.
Everybody loves Papa Checo.
Everybody loves. He's the biggest babyface in the paddock.
But Josh
is the biggest heel.
Yeah.
So a lot of people are just going on like, okay, he really shouldn't be involved in any of this. He's not even a member of Red Bull Racing. He's there because his son is the main guy on that team. But that doesn't give him any power. And now the whole rumors that he might leave for Mercedes and all that because Mercedes doesn't have a driver for next year. And they're saying, well, Max might break his contract.
I don't think that.
It's a bright idea. Or it's true.
Great idea.
No, it's not. To break the contract and go to Mercedes?
No. For Mercedes to try to sign Max Verstappen, it's a great idea for them. But I don't see that happening. Ever.
I really think Max should just tell his dad, hey, chill out. Don't talk to the press.
Either chill out or go home.
Yeah. And a lot of people are making a big deal at the fact that his dad's not going to be at the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. I looked into it. He's actually going to be in a rally race in Belgium. And you don't make rally races like, you don't just join them one week when you're like, oh, I got kicked out. I got to do something. Yeah. Hey, let me do a rally race. No, he was going to do that he had that prepared for a long time. He was planned.
This isn't anything big.
No.
Okay.
But people are making it out to be a big deal. And the thing is, okay, I haven't seen any of the Google Drive evidence. How do we know that Christian Horner is actually guilty?
We don't.
And some people who actually had access to it are saying, you know what, this, like the evidence they're showing, like this looks very sketchy, like it was photoshopped, like it was made in some app to make fake conversation on WhatsApp.
So the hard thing is because Joss doesn't really work there, can they really punish him?
They can say you're not allowed in this paddock anymore.
I mean, yeah, but outside of that, I mean, they can't sue him.
I'm sure if he says anything like really bad, they could probably, like if Christian Horner wanted to, he could probably sue him for defamation.
Yeah. And
now here's the thing, Zach Brown, he's always got to be in the news. He's saying there's got to be more transparency about what the investigation was about and da-da-da-da-da. And I'm just thinking, okay, look, Red Bull is a huge company. They care about their image. They wouldn't allow Christian Horner to be acting as a team principal during the whole investigation because it would have looked bad on them. I mean, look at how many actors have been accused of sexual assault, sexual harassment, whatever, and they have been taken away from their jobs, from their acting career, from whatever. They've been pulled out of movies. We see that all the time. That happens.
Vince McMahon,
Johnny Depp.
And
they're getting taken out and this and that. And then years later, when they figure out, oh, she was lying or oh, this was true, they already face consequences. But Red Bull didn't pull Christian Horner, and he was at the launch of the car, a big media event.
Yeah.
So to me, it looks like maybe the investigation that they found was accurate and that there was nothing there. Now, I'm not saying Christian Horner's a saint and he didn't have sexual relationships with a woman or something like that. But if they found out that, well, no, it's consensual and somebody made a big deal about it.
It's not enough to get him canned.
Yes.
Yeah.
Maybe he didn't do anything wrong.
Maybe he just yelled at a few guys and they got upset. And
Yeah,
they
because we
reported
don't know
him.
what it is about.
Yeah.
People are
And that's the biggest problem throughout this whole thing. We don't know what's going on. Nobody knows, like, what are we investigating?
And now there's another rumor going around that Christian Horner was having an affair with somebody. And then somebody ended the affair. And then Josh Verstappen started to date that person. Now, I can't confirm that rumor, but I'm just going like, yeah, this would probably happen in a situation like this. Like, this is a drizzling shits.
Yeah. It's
a drizzling shit situation for everybody
It's
involved.
just a mess.
So here's the thing. Going back to what I was saying.
This is more interesting than the race.
It was. Okay, Red Bull Racing team didn't fire him. If it was somebody in the main company who wanted to get rid of him, if we're going by this is a power struggle, somebody wants to get him out. Well, the owners of Red Bull didn't kick him out, so that's saying that they don't want him gone. So that says, okay, this is somebody in the team. It has to be who has access to all the press, because every single person, every single journalist, every single news organization that was sent that drive, their contact information is on the F1 like journalist pass and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's all people who were going to go to an F1 race or who have access to ask questions to the teams and all that. Even that YouTube channel that I always talk about that I get a lot of my news stuff from, the race, they said, yeah, we got that link to the
Yeah.
to the
They're
Google
in
Drive.
the circle.
Yes.
We're working on getting in the circle, guys.
So now the question is, who has access to that? And then why? What is the motive? Why do they want him gone?
And if we're looking at this being Joss, why does Joss want him gone? Because it's not like they're going to give Joss the title of race director or team principal.
No. But then again, why?
Why would they?
Does he just hold a vendetta against him?
Maybe he's just doing this out of spite. I don't know.
Well, the thing is, Josh Verstappen...
He slept with his... If we're going off of the theory that Christian Horner slept with his girl, I mean, then...
As long as it was consensual, I don't see any issues.
If it was consensual, then I'd be more pissed at the girl.
Well, that's the thing. Was the girl the one who said that this was going on, or was she told to like say this is what's going on, or did somebody bring up this inappropriate relationship between an employee and a higher up? Because usually, if you think about it, that's a no-no in many workplaces.
No.
You're not supposed to be dating the higher ups, because then that's like, oh well, that could lead to a conflict of interest.
Oh yeah.
So there's all these questions, and we have no answers. All we know is there's a power struggle going on at Red Bull. That is very obvious. And anybody who says otherwise is stupid as hell.
Oh yeah. There's something fishy going on here.
Yes. What is going on? I don't know. I really don't know. I need to find somebody who posted the link to the drive, or somebody who posted like images. Because I've heard some people say, yeah, I saw him, but I also heard a lot of people say, yeah, my uncle works at Nintendo.
I mean, as far as racing goes, they're at the top right now. It doesn't just go ahead and give Max his world title, but
yes,
this is a distraction. And this can get very out of hand very quickly.
Yes.
And
also, I want to point out that the reason why no news organization has actually posted anything about this with the evidence that they were given, is because all the Red Bull lawyers, just like I said in the little intro, they're going to all the press and they're saying, hey, if you post this, if you talk about it and post the evidence or mention it, you will be sued.
right,
And the press is keeping quiet.
as they should.
Well, forget about as they should. My question is, why? Because they were given the evidence. You really cannot get sued for being a whistleblower. like posting information that a whistleblower gave you. There's not really a precedent set for that in Europe.
Yeah.
So my question is, okay, ignore the let's sue them. Why aren't they doing it though? Because the lawsuit email didn't go viral until a day after the email was sent.
Would it be defamation?
Is it defamation when it's true?
That's if it's true.
That's true. But what does the evidence say? Like, are they not running with the evidence because they're like, okay, this looks like a load of bollocks? Because some people are saying that it looks fake. Like I said earlier, it looks like it's photoshopped, like it was made in some app to, fuck with your friends and be like, oh yeah, I have this actual funny conversation with a friend, posted it on the internet, and it's like, no, you wrote that yourself. So that's the question. Like, why aren't we hearing more about this? We're hearing about everything going around it, but we're not hearing what was inside those drives.
We're hearing the rumors and speculation.
But why is the press being quiet? Why isn't the Daily Mirror running with the story?
At what point does the FIA need to intervene and be like, all right, sort this out?
Well, Stefano Domenicali and Ben Salami, something like that.
Salami?
No, not Salami.
Gabagoo?
Salami is actually a very bad term because he is Muslim and they do not.
I'm sorry. Look, guys, I really didn't mean it. I'm sorry, guys.
We're not allowed into the Middle East now. Thanks to you.
God damn it! I wasn't planning on going anyway, but
well, anyway, they actually went and talked to Christian Horner, and they had a meeting with him individually, and apparently they are good with what he told them. In fact, the president of the FIA, Ben, went to Max Verstappen and asked him if he could support Christian publicly. Isn't that funny? Muslim asking somebody to support Christian publicly.
You're walking a thin line here.
All right. Well, I'm an atheist, so like that's just a joke.
Yeah, I guess it's not offensive when you say it.
Yeah. But then wait, there's more drama.
Oh, there's more. Okay, I'll sit and listen.
So the president of the FIA is now being investigated for getting involved in a race
the
result.
President.
Yes, Ben.
Oh my God.
Apparently, last year during the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, I believe Fernando Alonso got a penalty for, I want to say, an unsafe pit stop. There was some reason he got a penalty. And Ben wanted that penalty to not go into effect. And now he is being investigated because he put his hands where he shouldn't have been. You're supposed to be impartial. You're the FIA. You're not supposed to choose sides. And he was choosing the side of Fernando. Now, I'm not saying he was wrong.
No. Well, I mean, we like Fernando. I would do the same thing.
But at the same time, you're the president of the FIA. You're supposed to be neutral.
Yeah. Don't you have like a group or a board for making decisions like this?
Yeah, the stewards.
Yeah. So why? I'm really interested. Like, why would he do that?
Well, this is just coming out, so there's not a lot of things I can tell you.
Okay.
But maybe next week.
Maybe next week.
All right, that's everything. How long are we gone? What's the time?
We've gone on an hour and 18 minutes.
I'm going to have fun editing this now, aren't
yes,
I?
you will.
All right. Well, why don't you take us home, white boy?
Thank you guys for this episode of the Waterboy Experience. You can follow us on TikTok at the Waterboy Pod, or on Twitter at the Waterboy Pod, or on Instagram at the Waterboy Pod as well, I believe. I still don't know all the names.
I think you're right.
We'll be back next week with more information, hopefully more breaking news about Hornergate and all that different kind of stuff, and the Salami Man, and
hopefully the Grand Prix is going to be good this weekend.
maybe.
It's not, is it?
We're going to hold out hope for a little bit.
All right.
Thank you guys for this episode of the Waterboy Experience, and peace!
Second and goal just outside the 10. Carr tips it in and it's Waller. He spins into the end zone for the touchdown. Watching greatness on one end in LeBron. There's a dude with 35 in white getting it done defensively and then offense taking over the fight.